Hello and welcome. I'm John Patterson. I'm with the Stratford and District Council of Churches. I'm also a member of Avondale United Church, and we're so happy to be doing this interview series as part of a project for the Council of Churches reaching out to the Stratford community. With me today is Holly Smith, who is with the CMHA, and she is a very important part of that agency. And Holly, welcome.
Thank you.
Could you please tell us about yourself and your agency?
For sure. So as you mentioned, my name is Holly Smith. I'm the Director of Clinical Programs at CMHA Huron, Perth, Addiction and Mental Health Services. And it's actually great timing because we have just launched our new organization. Formerly, we used to be Choices for Change and Resilience Huron, Perth. So our new organization represents an integration of mental health and addiction services, supporting not just folks in Stratford, but all across Huron and Perth counties.
That's amazing. So this is very timely then. What kinds of things specifically will the agency be doing and has been doing?
For sure. So we're continuing all of the services that we offer, which is quite a lot. As a start, we support youth and all the way up to adults. Our youth programs, we are in all of the high schools, both public and Catholic, across Huron and Perth, supporting young people who identify either addiction concerns for themselves or maybe for a loved one. We also offer mental health case management services to folks who identify struggling with the symptoms or maybe a diagnosis of a mental illness. As well, we do addiction counseling for adults as well for family members. We know that mental health and addiction touches a lot of people's lives, either directly or through our loved ones. So we do what we can to provide services, resources, connection to support folks with their goals in being well and living happy lives.
And I would imagine that part of all of that may reach out to people who are homeless.
Absolutely. Thank you for mentioning that. I'm very sorry. My side is more the clinical side. We actually do have some housing units that we own ourselves as well. We support a number of folks through subsidized housing. We have funding to offer subsidies. I'm not sure if everyone knows, but rents have gone up, especially post-pandemic, which is really hard. We also support folks who maybe due to their mental health or addiction struggle with staying within a housing situation. And we also have the Connection Center here in Stratford, which is a great resource for folks who are experiencing homelessness or maybe are precariously housed. We have showers, food, community partners drop by, and we try to do those wraparound services as best we can.
And that's at St. Paul's
Yes, it is.
Anglican Church.
Yes, it is.
Well, congratulations on that aspect of all your work too.
Yes, thank you very much.
Well, speaking of churches, the Council of Churches, we have a number of faith communities here in Stratford and District. How can churches and their people be a support to the work that you folks do?
I've been thinking about this, and sort of the way I think is I think sort of macro and micro. So I think sort of big scale and on an individual level. So on a big scale, actually a number of churches, you mentioned the Connection Center is at St. Paul's. So a lot of churches in our community have been a great support already in supporting the work that they do in terms of sharing physical space or sharing donations that go right back to our fellow community members. Also, I know the Food for All program, there's often a number of churches in our area that offer meals, and I cannot tell you the value that has for members of our community, not just in terms of nourishment and sustenance, but that sense of community and connection is so meaningful to people, I think, especially now. So that's sort of that kind of larger scale focus. And then I think on the individual level, I think as much as possible, we all try to live our lives with empathy and understanding and try to be non-judgmental. And I just encourage folks, when you encounter members of your community that you might not see in your regular day-to-day, maybe they appear different than the way that you and your family appear or behave differently than something you're familiar with. I just always encourage folks to share that empathy and understanding And certainly, I don't think any of us chooses to struggle in our life. We try to strive to be healthy and well and have healthy relationships, but there's things that happen in our lives that sometimes make that more difficult. So I think if we can just have a little bit of that love in our heart for our community member, it goes a long way. And just those little acts of kindness, of seeing the human that you're kind of passing in the street, really does go a long way for folks.
And all that's so very important. Holly Smith, thank you so much for what you do and for what your agency does, and hopefully so many of the people in our churches will be able to support your work. Thanks for being with us today.
Thank you so much for having me.